Thank you, Dr. Chafin, and thank you, Lindsey Wilson Singers. I don't remember a time when you've ever sounded better than you did today. Thank you so much. Another round of applause, if you would, please. It's a pleasure to introduce this year's winter commencement speaker, Al Smith. As you can see from Al's biography in your program, over the last half century, he's done a lot to make our Commonwealth a better place. In fact, few Kentuckians have done more for our Commonwealth over the last 50 years. Al has been a newspaper editor and publisher, television and radio host, a leader of Kentucky's most important civic organizations, and federal co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission. He has been honored by numerous organizations for his work, and he was inducted into the first class of the Kentucky Journalism Hall of Fame. Until last month, Al was host of KET's Comment on Kentucky. He helped start the program more than 33 years ago, and with the exception of his tenure as federal co-chair of the ARC, Al came into Kentuckians' homes every Friday night to help them better understand how their government was or wasn't working. I cannot imagine a more appropriate commencement speaker today than the one you're about to hear from momentarily. George Bush, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Rudy Giuliani, Rick Pitino, or Billy Gillespie couldn't do a better job. It's an honor to have him back on our campus today. Please join me in welcoming Al Smith.
I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I'll get over it. Thank you, Dr. Lucky. Good morning, honored graduates, families, and friends, faculty. Because today are you who took the courses, passed the tests, borrowed the money, worked part-time or full-time, and endured the nagging question, is it worth it? And who must now find jobs and independence in the world. So it has always been, but the data is indisputable. A college education will provide a big economic payback over time, moving you statistically ahead of most Americans who did not graduate from college. With 85% of you all out there, the first members of your families to graduate from college, this is indeed a day of emotion, high emotion. The rich parents of graduates of so-called Ivy League schools are proud of their kids, of course. But for mothers and dads, sisters and brothers and friends who didn't get a higher education, the ceremony today in this building affirming that you did is especially precious because they know how much work was invested for you to stay in school to earn this prize today. For many of your family members, college may have been the road not taken by choice or more likely because they didn't have the opportunity that you've had. Whether your loved ones think of the degree that you received today as a second chance or a fresh start for the whole family to move forward with you this December 2007, it's an appropriate moment to celebrate new beginnings. In our public history, we have just this past week inaugurated in Kentucky a new governor, Steve Beshear, who's kind of a hero of the second chance, of the new beginnings. Well, since he's not here today to cheer you on, I will tell you that he knows our history of new beginnings, not only through books, but because he has lived it. He knew success and defeat in his youth, as you have. He survived political exile in midlife, and he struggled back to the summit in this year's election 20 years after he first ran for governor. His inaugural speech last Tuesday is also good commencement advice because he didn't give up, and you who are graduating didn't, and because you didn't, neither should any of the rest of us, no matter how many problems we take with us as we leave this campus. You didn't give up, he didn't give up, and neither should all of us here in this building who are here to congratulate you. you who are receiving degrees today, and the governors come back in politics, regardless of how we voted, you add credibility to what he said in his inauguration speech and what I'm saying today to all of us to reject setbacks and to go forward. The fight for a second chance, for a fresh start, it's in the Kentucky DNA, in the legacy from the settlers who crossed the Cumberland Gap, traveled the Wilderness Road with Daniel Boone. In college, you've learned that there was also a dark side when we failed to protect the Eden that was Kentucky, when our religious practices dishonored the brave circuit riders who brought the gospel to the frontier, when our courts mocked the flag that stood for equal justice, when Lincoln's passion to educate himself was the exception. But we've also learned that we didn't always fall short of the glory. The existence of Lindsey Wilson College on this campus that has sheltered and nurtured you along the path to graduation today is a witness to the faith and determination of teachers whose principles will live on in every good deed you will practice and every sound idea that you will bring to bear in the days ahead. I speak not only of the teachers you know, but also in honor of those who are but ghostly names in the records since the school was founded in 1903. Their sacrifices, their devotion to keeping the school open in its darkest hours, their triumph in the successful careers of their students, their belief that this school could have a useful future. One of your trustees, Pete Mehurin of Bowling Green, a financial wizard and a longtime friend of mine, says that when he was a lad on a farm at Short Creek in Grayson County, he didn't think of himself as poor, which others in his family did. We were just temporarily out of money, he said. By focusing on one niche in life, which was advising others on saving money and investing it wisely, Pete prospered. When I asked him yesterday what counsel he would pass on to Lindsey Wilson graduates this week, Pete, who is left-handed and loves baseball, said he learned in playing baseball that there are about 5 positions that are impossible for a left-handed shortstop to play. Find your niche in life, he said, stick with it, and work as hard as you can. Pretty simple advice, but pretty good. On the other hand, my wife, who is one of the wisest persons I know, except for a little mistake she made in marrying me maybe 40 years ago, my wife thinks that any job or taking several jobs after college for 10 or 15 years will not be wasted because all work when you are still young is part of learning. It's just more education in a different kind of classroom of life, she says.